Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. In today's update, we will be looking at the upcoming weather pattern, starting with a brief examination of the major winter storm that is finishing up in the northeastern part of our country. We will then take a closer look at the very active and very cold pattern that we expect will continue for the central and eastern United States. As I mentioned, this will be a focused update. I have been preparing some materials for our Prestige Weather community, which you can always learn more about by looking in the screen description and the comments section below this video. I have been doing a great deal of work there, which you can find in the announcements. We have been very active discussing this snowstorm and other potential systems on the horizon, so please feel welcome to join the conversation. Looking at this current storm, it is certainly a powerful and complex system. We have seen a wide variety of impacts from it. There were supercell thunderstorms just off the coast of the Outer Banks, and a few of those even managed to come ashore, bringing some rather severe weather. We also observed very heavy rainfall across many of the areas underneath, along with significant wintry precipitation in many different locations that is still ongoing. In fact, the snowfall is still quite heavy for many areas throughout New York State, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and portions of Connecticut. It seems the only northeastern state mostly spared has been Rhode Island, where only the far northern areas are seeing some snowfall. This has been a truly remarkable storm, so please do feel free to send in your photographs. We would be delighted to see any video clips or similar things that you captured. If you experienced this snowstorm, we always appreciate seeing your local reports in our community forum. We even have a December photo contest underway, so please be sure to submit any of your pictures. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our forecast model guidance, starting with the European model. It is clear that by the very early morning hours of tomorrow, this storm will have concluded, and by tomorrow afternoon, we are going to be left with very cold air. We can expect some snow showers throughout the Rockies and the northern plains, as well as near the Great Lakes. However, for the most part, our snow system will have moved out and finished. We can see that as we head towards Thursday. We still have this northern branch of the jet stream digging into the central states and then moving eastward, with the southern branch of the jet stream feeding moisture into it. This will be our next winter storm to keep an eye on. For now, it does not quite line up to be a major event. However, the necessary ingredients are present for this to potentially develop into something a bit more interesting. Of course, there is no guarantee that will happen, but the possibility exists as this system moves across the south. We do see some potential for snowfall in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia on the European model for this Friday, which is just a few days away. I feel this particular system isn't being discussed enough. It then moves up toward parts of the mid-Atlantic, including Washington, D., into Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. It does not, however, travel up the coast in this particular forecast. There remains a chance that this system could trend toward a track a little farther up the coast, which would bring more significant impacts to the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. But for the time being, we see this system sliding rather harmlessly straight out to sea. Then, immediately afterward, we see another potential threat develop as that southern stream of the jet remains extremely active while this colder air stays in place to the north. We see this second system moving through. This one does not appear to be much of anything in terms of snowfall at this moment. However, it involves a lot of moisture very close to very cold air. And if this system trends northward, we could be looking at something interesting just a little farther north than this model is currently showing for Saturday into Sunday. That would be on the 6th into the 7th of the month, so we have numerous potential systems ahead. As we move on, we see a lot of different clipper systems moving through the area. Conditions actually turn colder as we approach the 7th, 8th, and 9th. That will be late this weekend and into early next week. We do see the continuation of these clipper systems moving through. Here is one forecast for the Midwest on Tuesday, the 9th. It then moves into the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, developing into a bit of a low-pressure system offshore. This is a fairly typical pattern, and that will be occurring as we move from the 9th into the 10th. That one does not look to be that major, but we see another one right behind it for the Midwest on the 10th, moving into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. And this particular one does become a bit more of a substantial offshore low, just off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, around Thursday, the 11th. This would pose a potential snowfall threat for many of these areas. We can see moderate to heavy snowfall appearing on this model as of right now. and then it appears the overall pattern shifts, at least on these models for now. We see the main jet stream actually building a ridge toward the east, and this begins to carry winter storms, more toward the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes. Much like what we have observed pretty recently, we see one system go by, and then we actually see a very significant western snow system toward the end of the forecast period. This pattern change seems to be happening after the 10th on these models. Therefore, it is beyond 7 days out, and most of it is beyond 10 days out. So, please do take it with a grain of salt, but I have noticed this trend on the forecast models. Now, as we take a look at the American GFS model, we see our current snowstorm move out. We then get this coastal system that is actually much less impactful on this GFS model for now, around the 5th and 6th. And then we see another one move in right behind it. This one appears more substantial on this particular model. We see Missouri and Illinois experiencing some snowfall on Sunday morning. As we move forward, states like Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio begin to see activity. By 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday, December 8th, we see West Virginia and Virginia getting some snowfall. And as we continue to follow its progression, we do see parts of the mid-Atlantic get in on some snowfall as this low-pressure system develops offshore into something quite substantial. This is only 5 or 6 days away, which we consider the medium range of the forecast. It is definitely something to track. This will surely be the next system that we will be talking about a great deal, not only here on our channel, but within our community as well. Now, as we continue with this model, we see that system moves out. We start to see that same Clipper trend developing, where we get these systems moving from the Midwest around the 10th into the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, and then eventually impacting the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So, we have a very similar setup to the European model, with even another system moving through, bringing some Mid-Atlantic and Northeast snowfall again around the 12th and 13th. So again, there are numerous opportunities for snowfall, but, similar to the European model, we see this pattern completely flip after the 12th, turning into a warmer in the east and colder in the west pattern. So overall, the precipitation on the European model does start to increase out west. We have seen a significant upward trend there, and we continue to see this southern stream moving across the southeastern states that brings a lot of precipitation there as well. The precipitation anomalies, or departures from normal, reflect that pattern. There is a lot of activity out west and a lot of activity for the southeast. The total snowfall on the European model is more elevated out west than in previous model runs because of that uptick in activity. We also see quite a bit for the northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and more on the way for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. It appears the GFS model is going to agree with that assessment. The West picks up in activity. We still see the plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes seeing some action. But the bigger story is the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, where both of these models are forecasting heavy snowfall totals even after our current snow system that is happening right now. Looking at the temperature pattern, we do see colder air heading into the east once, twice, 3 times, and perhaps a 4th time in there. And then we do warm up right after the 12th on this model. It does look like at the very end of the period, there is another major Arctic blast on the way towards the east. However, that is not particularly relevant at this time because it is 360 hours out. On the GFS model, we get 1 major cool down, 2 major cool downs, 3 major cool downs, and then almost a 4th, very minor one, and then we do warm up after the 12th, just like the European model. So both of those models do agree on this. I will say the ensemble guidance, which is an average of many forecasts, does not look too bad. This is for the period from the 7th through the 17th. It remains very warm in the west and very cold in the east. This is the European ensemble model. And then we have the GFS ensemble model, which shows the same thing, warmer out west, colder in the east. This represents excellent agreement between these ensemble models, both for the 7th through the 17th or the 8th through the 18th timeframe. So there is good agreement that the long-range forecast does still look quite favorable as we approach and pass the midway point of the month. Now, I do apologize for keeping this update a bit brief with all of you today. I have been working on a number of things today, so I am getting this video out a little late. I do hope you found it helpful. Please be sure to subscribe, as we upload a new forecast every single day. You can even select the bell icon to receive daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Please feel free to leave a comment below. I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.